With a score of 91 on Metacritic, Dragon Quest should be on the same level as The Witcher 3, with a score of 92. But is it? Does this game even step close to being a rival to my favorite game of all time? The game that left me empty for months after finishing it. Does this game really leave me wanting more the way The Witcher 3, magnificent open world filled with amazingly written and acted out side quests? Does it really rival the lovable, hateable and deep characters that game brings? Well, let's find out, shall we? Hi, but you can just simply call me Amazon. And today we find out if Dragon Quest is even comparable to The Witcher 3 in any intangible way, or if they are just that different. Well, let's find out, shall we? Before anything though, this is the PC version of The Witcher 3. I am comparing to the highest rated version of Dragon Quest XI, which happens to be the Xbox One version. What I'm saying is that I'm pitting the best versions of themselves against each other, even though I'm pretty sure there are no discernible differences between them except minor graphical changes for their respective hardware. First, a bit of a backstory. I love The Witcher 3. Actually, I'd consider it the greatest game of the decade. Hell, of all time, actually. It's a game that I've played through in its entirety at least 3 different times, including its DLC. A solid 10 out of 10, but not a 100 out of 100. But that doesn't make sense, right? Yes, it does. Nothing is a 100 out of 100 on Metacritic. Not even the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the apparent best of all time. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are always things that could be better. The Witcher 3 is greater than the sum of its parts. The combat being, well, mediocre, but its story being absolutely amazing. Its side quests unrivaled. I could go on, but the fact that they are apparently so close together in terms of score raises the question, where is that point coming from? Dragon Quest is a franchise almost as old as modern gaming itself. On its 11th title, I mean they must have perfected everything by now. Well, they have. But it's what I'd call a polished turd. An okay game with an unbelievable amount of polish. No glitches or hiccups ever. A polished piece of fecal matter might be a bit harsh, however. It's a good-looking piece of fecal matter with some deep systems and occasionally great moments of story. But other than that, I think it's just boring. Nothing new or cool. Sure, the story picks up after the town of Cobblestone gets destroyed, but that's about it. This might be a good place to say I haven't finished the game. This might also be a great place to say I liked what I played. I didn't love it, obviously, not like The Witcher 3. It didn't stick. Not because of the boring and slow turn-based combat that I kind of despised, but because I felt like the game was a bit of a waste. I had better games to play, and Dragon Quest XI did not feel like the best pick for a long and arduous JRPG that probably was going to be worth it in the end. I haven't played Chrono Trigger yet, nor Final Fantasy VII, or any Final Fantasy game for that matter. So let the comparison begin, starting with the graphics. Right now, The Witcher 3 is without a doubt the better looking game. The mere fidelity is futuristically realistic. It serves up great views of its vast medieval fantasy landscapes flowing in the wind. Its towns and cities feel large and are filled with people. The effects of fire, water and such strive for realism and pure pixel for pixel fidelity. Dragon Quest, however, goes for the anime/animated aesthetic, striving to be timeless and clean rather than realistic and innovative. They both look great, but Dragon Quest looks artistically boring. It runs smooth as butter and is easy to read, but it feels empty. Every tree feels artificially placed, every rock feels unnatural, and every house is planned to be copy-pasted with minimal effort. It strangely reminds me of, get ready for this, the Toy Story 3 tie-in game. Yes, this is how weird my references will be, but I've played that game a lot in my childhood on the PlayStation 3, especially the racing stunt part of it. The thing with this though is that, well, there are more comparisons to make here. The shadows look soft, just like in the Toy Story 3 tie-in game. They're all way too bright and soft. They try to look perfect, even though shadows aren't. The whole screen feels blurry sometimes because of the amount of bloom. A good lighting system is the most important thing to get right. I mean, look at the Thief series of games. Sure, hiding in the darkness is one of the main mechanics in the game, and its textures are definitely outdated, but don't let that take away from its splendid lighting. The lighting in The Witcher 3 isn't without its faults either. The shadows are certainly better, but not perfect. I prefer it though. It might be the art style, but I think it's sharper and ultimately more visually interesting in the end. The second thing we'll look at is the open world. Both of these games claim to be open in their world design, but in the case of Dragon Quest, that is highly debatable. It's more of a Metroidvania with really large empty rooms filled with enemies. This open world serves no purpose outside of being a zone to grind levels. I call it a Metroidvania because, unlike Witcher 3, it's linear. I've searched the web and it does seem like the game opens up, but why not go full on linear then? Is the open world really tuned for exploration? Why not focus the game around the things you want instead of trying to shoe in artificial exploration and terrible fetch quests? The open world of The Witcher is half of the game. It's great. Well, maybe not as great as Red Dead Redemption 2 or Fallout 4's. Yes, Fallout 4's open world is fantastic, filled to the brim with things to do, places to explore and side quests to complete. As it turns out, it looks like this video is going to be about comparing. A video about reviews and a video I'll probably hate looking back at it when I make a review on my own. METACRITIC. What's wrong with it? People are too nice and too harsh. No one is mediocre enough. Everything is a super low 7 or a masterpiece with a score of 8. There is something wrong with that. Or maybe there's just something wrong with us. Never mind that though. That's a video for someone else. Send it to Vsauce. Or is it? You can't cater to taste. This is the greatest piece of info you could take from this video, but this also isn't really fair. Of course you can't. Everybody is different. That's what every single cartoon and movie from my childhood has taught me. If the game industry would cater only to my taste, the entire turn-based combat category of games would just cease to exist. No more sport games except Wii Sports and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games for the Nintendo DS. Every game would be a grotesque, deep RPG without tedious mechanics, a fast and flashy movement system with a double jump and wall running. Weapons are just as accurate when aiming down sight as when not. A dolphin dive with slow-mo in first person and somehow third person at the same time. You simply just can't have everything. A journey isn't complete without its setbacks. This is where we come back to Dragon Quest. There are just a few too many of these setbacks for me to power through. I made it through Persona 3 because of the promise of a great ending, great characters, and a cool, stunning sense of style. And it was worth it. I made it through Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic because of its great storytelling, world building, and in the end, it left me wanting more. But at the same time, I'm currently trying to play Divinity Original Sin 2, and I can tell it's a masterpiece, deserving of its high score, deep and smart combat, expertly written, funny and believable conversations. But I just don't like the turn-based nature of the combat. The movement is boring and mindless, and the quest design felt unforgiving, and I had to look up a guide once or twice. So I guess Dragon Quest was just another one of these games, just kind of not to my taste. I can tell it's a great game, it just never stuck. That sucks, because I want to experience the same things people keep telling me they've enjoyed. I want to play everything. understand every reference. I know most of them by now. I know what a Souls-like is like, both in its level design, its boss fights, and hard and ultimately fair combat. I know what arena shooters are because I've played both Quake and Unreal Tournament with their bunny hopping, rocket jumping, and railguns, but I'll never truly know what a CRPG is because I've never finished one. I kind of know, I understand the basics, but that just isn't valid. Just like Dragon Quest XI, I've never finished a CRPG with turn-based combat. Well, I'm leaving Disco Elysium out of this because it doesn't have enough combat for me to put it next to one of the others. I'm bummed. But that's just the way things are, I guess. I hope and believe that I'll find a truly fun game with turn-based combat, and I'll keep looking. But Dragon Quest just is not it. What you might have noticed is that this video is not a review of Dragon Quest, not a review of The Witcher 3 for that matter. This video only really serves as a way to make up for the absurd amount of money I spent on a game I didn't even enjoy that much. It serves as a warning to those who think Metacritic is the end-all be-all of gaming knowledge. This video was meant to be a legitimate comparison in the first place, a video defending my favorite game of all time from the challenger with just a point less. That is not what this video is anymore, at all. What I'm essentially saying is that this video is useless. It bears no meaning other than comparing things is stupid and the simple fact that everybody can't like the same things. Also, you simply just can't compare stuff without sounding stupid. Of course the combat in The Witcher 3 is better than in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. You just can't compare some games. Dragon Quest and The Witcher 3 being two of them. They don't even try to be the same thing, their tones not being remotely close to one another. One a gritty and depressed tale of a monster hunter hated by all, killing for money. Its world filled with racism, bloody fights to the death, and sex scenes. The other a colorful fairy tale of a hero traveling the lands as the chosen one, making friends along the way. So, before comparing something, know this. Take this entire video into account. I know I didn't. Thanks for watching. This video was voted by my Patreons. Well, it was more of a choice, as I had a single Patreon at the time. If you want to choose my next video, feel free to subscribe on there. Again, thanks for watching.